greet you and say thank you to all of you. Thanks for coming and joining us, the first General Assembly ever in China over the long history of our WFIMC's history, both physically and remotely. The Shanfield has been very excited to be the first member to host the General Assembly in this country. Thanks for being so accommodating to the newest and unusual practice of this very first GA in China. This provides some freshness, but also requires patience and understanding from all of you. And different than other WFIMC's GA in the previous time, we think this GA really helped us, not just for the host, but for all of us who come here to learn and understanding the culture in a truly immersive way. It is always difficult to be the first one and take the first step as it requires a lot of trust, curiosity, sympathy, and wisdoms. But we, not just the Shanfield, but everyone of the WFIMC overcame it, and we know and we believe. Through the GA and exchange this time, each of us will become a different person and different organization, as we will not know the true challenges, true differences, true value and excitement of human cultures unless we experience it in person. During these few days, we experienced together the energy and the taste and perspective, the space of this ancient but very young country. We should be very proud, and as it is a big achievement our WFIMC as a collective body has gained. The General Assembly, like us this time, should help us join our hands and help build bridges for collaborations, bridges for understanding, bridges for our next generation, and bridges for our world peace. We, the Shanfield International String Competition and Harbin, are very honored to host the first GA in China, and I believe very soon more and more members of our regions and from the East will actively participate in the General Assembly and different kinds of truly global exchange activities of our federation and grow together with the WFIMC's development. We, the Shanfield, joined the WFIMC in 2017. At that time, we were the only active member from mainland China in the federation. But this first step of rejoining the federation achieved many things that we couldn't expect in 2017. We have more Chinese members than ever, and many enterprises, organizations, and institutes join us as associate member as well. And we even have the very first GA held in this country. In the future, we will hold hands with all our best colleagues who share the same mission and shape the classical music landscape together. And more importantly, together we can create more opportunities in our shared, globalized world. Thank you.
Thank you, Sisi. I would like to take the opportunity to give my thanks to the board. If I may introduce you for those who don't know you: Elizabeth Kojik, Dohyun Kim, Peivi Puzar, Glenn Kwok, Christine Reichstadt, Sisi, and our president, Peter Paul. Thank you so much for your hard work all through this year. It's been a great pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to the next 2 years that we're together. In this conference, we have 2 general meetings, one today and one on Saturday. And we have quite an agenda to cover for us in order to vote. You all have, if you have registered, you all have received just a few minutes ago the access codes from Polia's voting system, so you can vote on all the issues that we discussed now. But it is a couple of big topics that we would like to talk about, and therefore we have decided to move the President's and Secretary General's report to Saturday, and today go straight into the agenda that covers the voting of this time's conference.
Okay, also welcome from my side. That's the serious part of the General Assembly, where we are talking about, members, about numbers and statutes. To be as much as possible efficient, because we have more or less 2 hours to go through all these points. Hopefully, they are enough. As already Florian said, voting are already open to people from abroad following us over Zoom. Maybe somebody is already taking the vote or voting. So we should be able to discuss all relevant points that they are need of a vote. So, and we decided to change for this the order. If you have in front of you the general meeting agenda, so you can orient it yourself, we are starting now with the approval of the minutes. As a second point, we have the Treasurer's Report with Ariel Cohen from Tel Aviv, live on Zoom. Hopefully this works. Then we have point 3, new members 2025. Point 4, statute changes 2025. Point 5, increase of membership fees, delegate argument. Point 6, WFIMC resonance. That are all the points on the voting platform. All the other, if we are super fast, we can go on with the remaining points. If not, we have enough time on Saturday morning. So maybe we can start with the approval of the minutes. Maybe it's the easiest one. Everybody got by email all the documents, and a very extensive, detailed document regards the minutes of the last meeting in Parma. I would like to ask if anybody has any question or disagrees without going through the minutes, because that would take a lot of time. So if there are we are not asking now to vote, because everybody is free to vote whenever you want to vote. Inside this, more or less, it's not even 48 hours or a little. Tomorrow midnight Chinese time. So we have a little bit more than 24 hours. And if there are questions now from the floor to the minutes, please ask these questions. If not, we go on to the next point. I don't see any hand raising up. So there are no questions. You are free to vote as you want. Hopefully you agree on this. Then we have point second. Now is the turn of Ariel. Is Ariel online? From Tel Aviv. He tried to be here, but everybody knows that it's totally impossible. Oh, Ariel. Wonderful. We can hear you.
Great. So, first of all, let me apologize for not being there in person. I had all the arrangements done, but due to the war with Iran, all flights were cancelled and the airport was closed, so I couldn't get to meet you in person. This is a slight compensation for me, related to
Thank you very much, Ariel. I think it's crystal clear, the picture, a solid one, a balanced one. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Ariel is here, listening to you. The people from online, yes, we have the former pressure that we expected that he will have some questions. But also the people following us online, please write a message, maybe in the Zoom or by email, and it will be answered in pretty real time. We try to answer very fast. Jacques. Ariel, now Jacques is asking a question.
Hello, Ariel. Hello, Ariel. We're missing you here. Thank you for the report. It's very clear. I have a few very quick questions, nothing important, but why the title securities has been reduced from 41,000 to 23? Is that because you lost money on the market or because you transfer money? I'm in the active and assets. And the titre securities went from 41,000 Swiss francs to 23. It's just, is it the revenue or lose? Is it market? It's assets. That's so bad. Active, access, asset, titre and sécurité, securities for 41,000 to 23. That's almost 45% of decrease.
Yes, this is actually still falls in the responsibility of the previous treasurer as it concerns
Thank you.
as it concerns the dissolution of funds we had in the bank that were they had a deadline and they were paid back into the account.
Okay, super. Second question, brief once again. You've been talking about the projects in China, and I'm assuming this is in the revenue and income, other own incomes of 30,000 Swiss francs. What were the projects in China when you say that in the report? I assume it's the program book.
We had in the spring of last year a week of seminars, concerts, master classes at the Shanghai Conservatory, and there's a big position going into the budget and flowing out of the budget.
Perfect. That answered my third question. And finally, the charge of prior year's expenses and income, 22,000 Swiss francs, is competition who paid back their fees or something like this? In the last page, the prior year's expenses and income.
The largest, may I? Do you want?
The prior year's expense and income of 22,000 Swiss franc. In the, at the end, in operating result 1, 2, and 3, the second one. Yep. I just want to know.
Yes, the largest part of that is the Ningbo competition who came back to the federation. And we had this discussion at the previous General Assembly when we talked about the procedure to re-accept the competition. And in this case, we re-accepted them on the condition that they would pay up a certain number of years, which are reflected in this figure.
Very good. That's good for me. Thank you for the report. Thank you once again to do a very nice and clear statement of financials, which is still balanced every year. I'm done.
Thank you very much. Bravo to Florian and his staff, no, because they are the responsible people to balance it out always. It was properly and brilliantly managed. Any other questions regarding the budget, regarding the balance and the budget 26? Okay, then we don't know if there were questions online, but we are going to answer in case later on. So we can move on to the next point, which is new members. Florian, please.
If I may just say to the online audience, I just saw that there is a message from Fiona Sinclair. If you do have questions, please send them to one of our WeChat or WhatsApp accounts. Otherwise, it will be very tricky to answer you. Thank you. The Zoom is gone. Okay, let's go through the new applications. As Ariel mentioned, we largely depend on members, and there is every year a certain fluctuation. So these new applications are actually very important for us. And we are very happy, we're glad that so many interested competitions have come up to us and have applied this year. I will just go briefly through them, and after each competition, if you do have a question, please raise your hand. The first application is the Concurs Internacional de Piano Ricard Viñes in Lerida, Spain. They have had 25 competitions. They are a member of the Alink Argerich Foundation, and they do comply very well with our statute. Both Gustav Alink and Rob Hilberink have voiced a strong support of this competition, except there has been one issue in this year's competition because the jury was not up to level. They did in the past always have 7 jury members. This year they have only 5, and we have only noticed it just recently. I have talked to the competition, and they have written to us saying that they are facing a deep cut in this year, and they have tried to manage nevertheless to stay on their previous level. They are intending to go back to 7 juries in the next year. And through a number of conversations with them, we were convinced that this competition is definitely worth supporting. So the board has also discussed this yesterday and recommends the admission. Is there any question on this competition? If not, we will move on to our problem child, the Concorso Internazionale di Esecuzione Pianistica Premio Mauro Paolo Monopoli. We had an application from them already 2 years ago, and again last year we met their director because there was some negative feedback about the competition and some points we wanted to clarify. So I have visited the Monopoly competition in Barletta. This is in Puglia, in the very south of Italy, and have listened to their finals, have talked to the people, have looked at the venue and their facilities. And while this competition certainly is not on the level of a major competition in a major city, it has shown a rather amazing artistic level and a really, really great commitment to artistic excellency. The jury has been fabulous. The venue of the competition is a jewel in the city of Barletta. It's a very small, old Italian theater, which is gorgeous. They are struggling. The price levels are a little bit low. This is true. But I believe after looking at their work, after listening to their competition, that their efforts really have to be rewarded. And I believe that this competition really, truly deserves to be supported by the Federation. Puglia is a rather poor area of Italy. Nevertheless, it's rich of art and history. And I think it is absolutely necessary for us to help them keep and improve their cultural institutions. I believe that this competition can learn from us, can further improve, and the artistic level that is already there only needs some improvement in the infrastructure, in the facilities, and the competition will be on par with many other of our members. So we have discussed this as well in the board and come to the conclusion that we would like to support this competition, and we would like to ask for your approval of this application. Do you have questions on the Monopoly competition? Thank you. Next is in the list is another Italian competition, the Concorso Internazionale di Flauto Domenico Cimarosa. We have checked their publicity, we have checked their information, and we have come to the conclusion, as there is no orchestra, no concerto final, and various other issues, along with a very, very low price level, and a level that is really not up to what we are looking for, we would not recommend to admit the Cimarosa competition at this point. Number 4, many of you know, I think I don't really need to elaborate on the Gina Bachauer International Piano Competition. We have met their artistic director, Douglas Humphreys, at the Cleveland Piano Competition last year, and they have been a member in the past. They are very eager to come back, and so for us it goes without discussion that we would like to have them back in the Federation. This is a major competition in the United States. Any of our US members have any comments on this? No. Thank you. Number 5 is the Yevgeny Svetlanov International Conducting Competition, a conducting competition that features a rather amazing jury, amazing staff, and very good prizes. It has been held since 2007, and the issue that we have with them is that they do not stay in one city. The competition has been held in Luxembourg in the beginning. It has moved to Paris, then to Monaco, Monte Carlo, and as it was led with the Japanese conductor Kazuki Yamada, it will now follow Kazuki Yamada to Birmingham, where the competition will take place with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. Now, changing the city is an issue for us. but we have also discussed this issue in the board, and we believe that as long as they do not interfere with another competition in the same discipline, in the same city, and as long as we know in advance where they are holding their competition, we would like to take them on into the federation. It is a very big name competition. The orchestras that are connected to this competition are major orchestras, and there have been many big names in the jury. If you do not have additional questions, I would like to go ahead.
Well, I mean, do we know which city they are going to have their competition for each edition? Or are they changing regularly in a regular pattern or very irregular pattern in different cities like Menuhin?
They're being held every 4 years, and they had 2 editions in Monte Carlo. So now the next one will be in Birmingham, and maybe even a second one will be in Birmingham, as long as the orchestra supports the competition, as long as their music director supports the competition. After that, at this point, we don't know.
Will we want them if they have their competition in not Rotterdam, for example?
I don't think this would, of course, we talk about this issue, but I don't think this problem would be coming up. These are very smart people and very people that you can really talk to that understand the competition business. And I don't think they would hold a conducting competition in a city with another conducting competition.
Cool. Thank you.
Next is the, I'm sorry.
The issue with the changing cities, it's very interesting because nowadays, you know, we are facing lots of problem with financing. It's not about Khachaturian competition, it's just overall question because sometimes the sponsorship could become from the local governments, and if they will decide to go to other city, what is the problem? Who create these criteria that the competition should be in one place? Just overall question, not related to any specific competition. Thank you very much.
But in this case, the competition is affiliated with the Svetlanov Legacy charity that finances part of the competition. And the city where it's being held, it provides infrastructure, it provides an orchestra and a venue, but is not the main source of financing for the competition.
So if we put them into the yearbook or in the conference tables, which city are they belonging to? I mean, they are having competition in different cities like Birmingham and some other cities. So which city do they belong to if they are putting in the yearbook?
In the yearbook, at this point, we will put them under Birmingham, yes. The managing director is in Paris.
I will be very honest. It is better to keep the competition alive, or because of changing city to kick off the competition. I didn't understood this. Sorry.
No, we support this competition. We think it's a major competition in the conducting world, and it should be part of the federation.
Thank you.
Number 6 is the Premio Internazionale di Direzione d'Orchestra Guido Cantelli, another important conducting competition that was founded in 1961 in the city of Novara in northern Italy. It has changed its administration. It was a very well-known competition in the past. They had some difficulties, and they're back now with a new system, a new staff. We have talked to them. We have really studied their application, and we have found them to be very reliable with a great organization, a great concept layout, and many fresh ideas. They do comply with our statutes, and we certainly recommend their admission to the Federation. Number 7 is the Cascais Opera. You have met our colleagues from Portugal. They are here in Harbin with us. The competition has been held twice, last year and this year, and we have visited the competition. We have visited both competitions. They were held on a very high level with a great artistic director, Sergei Lefakus, a formidable jury, a very high number of applications, great prizes, a wonderful venue in Lisbon in the Teatro São Carlos, and we would strongly advise to admit them as a new member after they just completed their second edition. This year we have a lot of conducting competitions. The next one is a Korean one. Again, they held two competitions, two editions in 2021 and 2024 at the Seoul Arts Center with one of the major orchestras in South Korea, the Korean National Symphony Orchestra. The competition is led by their artistic director. It was led by David Rayland in the last edition. It will be led by a new director in the future. But they have shown also a great level, many applications, a perfect system with live streaming, with a lot of marketing and online presence. They have a very high price level, and they offer interesting opportunities for the winners, including a contract as assistant conductor at the Korean National Symphony Orchestra. So this is another one that we would strongly support and ask for your approval. Number 9, now my Polish is not so good. I have to say it's the Karol Szymanowski Music Competition in Katowice. This is a wonderful competition, but we are not really that aware of it because it happens only every 5 years. But it's affiliated to the Ministry of Culture of Poland. And as we know, Katowice city and their musical infrastructure, their facilities, their wonderful orchestra, this is actually a great opportunity also for the Federation to get closer to this city. They have a large jury, they have huge numbers of applications, a very high price level, a top orchestra playing, and we have several people who have supported their admission, including Arthur Schlenner and also Peter Paul. Do you want to say 2 words about the competition?
I think Katowice is becoming one of the main cultural hubs in Europe because they have this beautiful hall, and these are the same people running the hall, being responsible for the orchestra, organizing the competition. I think we simply would miss a member like this because it represents one of the best example of Europeanness of classical music life. So I have no single doubt. I was also collaborating on another level, super professional. I really hope that we can have them among our members.
Lastly, we have a flute competition in Guangzhou, southern China. It was called formerly the Beijing Nicolet, Aurel Nicolet International Flute Competition, and it is run by a former student of the Swiss flutist Aurel Nicolet. I have met them, I have seen the documents. They are organized very professionally and are very worth supporting. The problem of this competition is that they do not yet have an orchestra in their final round, which is something they're working on. But I believe the competition is worth supporting. Maybe we should listen to Sisi for this one because she lives in Guangzhou and she knows the people that are running this competition.
To the point, for the last point by Florian, I just talked to the director of this competition. Louder, okay. I just recently talked to the director of this competition, and they confirmed they will have the final round with the orchestra. This is a new update, and actually, they also work with a cultural exchange. Center or organization based in Geneva. So I believe they have very stable financial support, and they also have very professional jury members for the live round. That's the
Yes.
Thank you. I have a question. How many years the competition was held in Guangzhou? How many times? Not years, because every 4 years competition is.
They will have their next competition next year, 2026. And previously, they have the competition online due to the pandemic influence. And they have this first, they have their first edition in Guangzhou 2016, and then they switched to 2 years later, and then 2018. From now on, they plan to switch the competition every 2 years. From now, from the next edition. That means they already stay in Guangzhou. If we don't count for the online one, it has already 2 editions.
Okay, thank you. It means it's possible to change the place of the competition, which is also fine.
In this case, it doesn't matter because the competition was held in Beijing in the past, but they are now in Guangzhou and they will stay in Guangzhou. So they will be listed as Guangzhou. The last point is just a discipline that we would like to add. Our colleagues from Jeju have asked to add the discipline of composition to the Jeju International Brass Competition. So they would like to hold this from now on, and the new category would then be called the Jeju International Composition Competition for Wind Orchestra. They have held many wonderful editions for wind and brass in Jeju, and they're one of our or one of the biggest brass competitions in the world at the moment. So I believe it's very well supporting the idea of adding a composition category in this composition. If you don't have any more questions, we will let you vote on all these later on. And we can move on to the next point.
Okay. Then we have as a next point statute changes. Always a delicate matter, but practically in every General Assembly we are changing something because we are always trying to be on the top of what is happening in the classical music scene. And we have here two proposals, basically referring to the Article 3, member resignation. Florian will explain the details, and then Article 4/A, member competitions, what kind of identity we would like have to written in the statutes to be as much as possible open to bring to the GA as much as possible new project that we can discuss. That's very important. And of course, always the GA has the last word, last decision on admitting or not admitting. But please, Florian, go into the details of this statute change.
The first point regarding member admission resignation concerns the issue that we often face, that competitions suddenly drop from our horizon. We cannot contact them, they do not reply, they just disappear and do not pay their membership fee. And sometimes it's very difficult then to go through various channels and find out that the personnel has changed and a new director has come and the new staff does not even know what the federation is. And in the beginning, often first outright refuses to acknowledge the fact that the competition is a member of the federation. And then there is often the problem that we have messages from competitions that say we are having trouble, we cannot pay this year, or we don't want to continue our membership this year. And we would like to clarify this situation for all our new members. So this does not concern any of you, it will only concern the new members and the applications from now on. We would like to have every new application, every new member sign a membership contract. You have received this membership contract. It's the standard contract that simply details what they have to pay and what the dates are if they want to leave the federation. We ask that they tell us 3 months before the end of the year if they do not want to continue their membership. Because we think it's simply not fair if they tell us in the summer they are being part of the federation, they're in the yearbook, they're on the website, they're being supported by social media. If they're telling us in the summer they cannot pay for this year and therefore they are leaving the federation, this always creates a problem in our budget because we budget, of course, their membership fee. And if the membership fee doesn't come, we have to find this money elsewhere. So in order to give us a little bit more leeway and power to tell them, you have signed a contract, you are supposed to pay for this year. If you would like to leave, you can do so at the end of the year, but not in the middle of the year. This is the point of the statute change. Yes, Didier. Can we have a microphone, please?
Thank you. Yes, I understand perfectly well the reasons. But isn't it a bit strange that only the new members have to sign the contract and not the actual members? Because it may happen to actual members to resign with the same consequences.
It does, but it feels a little bit funny if I go with contracts around and make you sign a contract since you've been a member for 68 years.
No, yes, of course, but we should be on the same level and the same kind of trust between us. So for myself, it would be either everybody or nobody. But
Didier, I was the guilty person to be against, to ask our existing members, because I see our staff is super efficient, but we know the office is understaffed of what they are doing, and opening this kind of door answering on questions on any little detail. A new member is more in will to sign because it's the finalization of the application process. But if we have to start to discuss contracts with 120 existing members, I think it burns out 4 or 5 months of working time that I would like to have focused on other topics. So I am the guilty person.
I mean, we can attempt it. We can hand out contracts to you now and make you all sign them, but I think, yeah, it's more about whether we should have a contract or not. Maybe we can have a staggered introduction and try at this or at the next General Assembly to have people sign so that we have you on file. But we don't have to contact every single member and ask them to send us a signed contract. Okay. The next point is a bigger issue. And we had this discussion several times also in the previous board when the La Maestra conducting competition applied to the federation. The La Maestra conducting competition is a competition entirely dedicated to female conductors. And you could say that it discriminates against male conductors, but you could also say that it was created in order to support a greater balance and to support female conductors and make it easier for them to join the world of conducting. La Maestra is one example. There are others. Peter Paul will tell us about another example, and I believe there might be more in the future. But we believe in the board that it's worth looking at, thinking about, and then changing our statute that says we are open to all regardless of nationality, ethnic origin, religion, and gender identity, and change this to a new wording saying that we embrace an international character by being inclusive and welcoming to all individuals without discrimination, while allowing for certain exceptions that specifically and transparently promote equal opportunities for underrepresented groups. I believe that this change will widen our horizons. It will give us the opportunity to discuss and possibly admit competitions like La Maestra that are in support of an underrepresented group. I also believe that the concern that some people have that this would open the door to all kinds of groups that we don't really want, that are not really fit for the federation. I don't think that this argument plays a role, because every such application would be discussed in the General Assembly. The application would be vetted by us. We would, of course, check all the details, talk to the competition, and report to you. And I think this change is simply about giving us the opportunity to consider application on a wider range. Yes.
I'm in favor of this proposal, but I think that we are losing also key concepts, key ideas, eliminating the first part. Maybe we can conserve the first part of it and adding and being inclusive and welcoming to all individuals and the other part. I think it's compatible to have the last reduction and to add the new part, because I think it's not incompatible, and you maintain these ideas of respect, gender, origin, and all these concepts.
I'm sorry, I did not really understand you right. You mean you would like to keep nationality, ethnic origin, religion, and gender identity in the text?
Yeah, and then add by being inclusive and welcoming to all individuals, and the rest of the sentence.
Yes, we had this discussion in the board, and in the end, the board unanimously decided that without discrimination would be more universal, more inclusive than mentioning every single word: nationality, ethnic origin, religion, gender identity.
From my point of view, individuals, all individuals without discrimination, is a much bigger picture than the picture that you were describing with nationality, ethnic origin, religion, and gender identity. So you have all this in this bigger picture, but the picture himself is bigger. So I think it's more on the point that we had until now. Other views on this?
Well, firstly, I was quite on the same opinion as Joseph just now, because I thought that the terms of nationality, ethnic, religions, and gender are very strong and very precise. But I can admit the fact that everything is included in all individual without discrimination. Let's say it's understandable. But for me, it's very difficult to say that we welcome everybody without discrimination, and in the same sentence saying that we have exceptions. So I don't like this fact that we have exceptions. It's opening the door to every kind of exceptions. I know that we will vote on this and accept member competitions, but we can see that we don't really discuss anymore on the members' competitions. So we accept what has been decided, and I'm a bit worried on the fact that we may open the doors to some kind of discrimination. So I'm not in favor of this paragraph, really.
You are totally right, Didier. And you can be sure that we discussed this at length, because it's a delicate topic with a lot of aspects. But the discussion started when we were approached by La Maestra. And there are other examples. I met some weeks ago Jean Pratt. He founded and running the Nina Simone competition, at this moment only for Afro-American pianists resident in the USA. But the competition and the values behind, it's a very interesting one. A repertoire around Nina Simone and all this culture of Afro-American, it should be something that we should look to. And with that kind of change in our statute, doesn't mean that we automatically now open the door to this competition. But we are opening the door to a discussion as we are having it now. And I would like to see this, that we are coming a little bit closer to the reality of a music life constantly changing. And we see this reflected in the repertoire politics of Deutsche Grammophon, for example. All of a sudden, you have a lot of recordings linked to the Afro-American repertoire. We have, who is running an ensemble, an orchestra, knows how difficult is it to find female conductors available. So there is a need. We remember the discussion that we had with Fiona Sinclair, leads competition. She's hopefully following us. I totally understand her own point. And we had a very constructive discussion afterwards. But she was maybe alone before. With that kind of change in the statutes, we bring the entire topic into the GA. Final decision will be always taken by the GA, by majority, after a process of building up our awareness. So I see this as a tool that makes us stronger and with less taboos and closer to the reality.
I think we need to have a vote. No. The vote is online. Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, not now. We'll see everyone's opinion.
Anybody wants to add something? Yeah, Pivy.
Thank you. Well, actually, without adding anything special, I'm just pointing out that this is after a thorough conversation in the board meetings, and therefore I personally also I'm for this. It was unanimous result of a discussion, and like Peter Paul said, this is actually more inclusive. So I'm for this.
Okay, so it's a strong message from the board. So we believe that it's important to have it. Of course, everybody is free to vote as he or she wants to vote. But now maybe we should move on to the next point. Is delicate, similar to the one that we just discussed because it's about finances. Increase of membership fees. Also, this was discussed at length. Since many years, we had members, they're even asking us to bring this to the GA because the member themselves were thinking that maybe we should, after 20 years of any kind of rise of the membership fee, to have a look at it. So, Florian, maybe you can give us some more detail.
You have all received our proposal. We last increased our membership fee in 2001 and 2002. And during these more than 20 years, I believe we have changed the federation greatly. We are offering a lot of different services. We have more staff. We are offering larger conferences with more guest speakers, with more services for you. We are printing a much larger yearbook. This year's yearbook has 250 pages. We offer regional meetings like the one last year in the Netherlands. We are offering lectures and seminars and a great amount of publicity for our laureates. We are facing rising costs and inflation in Switzerland. And our main income, as we just heard by the Treasurer Ariel Cohen, is still the membership fee. We are aware of the fact that the Swiss franc has changed a lot. It has gained in value, making it harder for you to pay the membership fee. Nevertheless, it is a statement that the Federation is located in Geneva, has been for almost 70 years and continues to be located in Geneva. And unless we change this, unless you are of the opinion that we should search for other options and discuss other options, if we do believe that the Federation should stay in Switzerland, in Geneva, then we have to face We have to talk about the costs that we are facing in Switzerland. And therefore, we would like to ask you in this year to approve a one-time increase of the annual membership of 200 Swiss francs per year, which is approximately 8.8% of what we pay right now. This would create an additional income of approximately 30,000 Swiss francs, which would give us more security and which would enable us also to put some money back into our accounts to obtain a greater security, while at the moment we are always borderline. We are having balanced budgets, but we have no money left over at the end of the year. And we would very much like to have a future without this continued risk. Just to give you an example, if in 1 year 2 or 3 competitions resign, then that means immediately that we have 9,000 Swiss francs less that we have budgeted before, but that we don't receive. And this is a factor that continues to be a worry for us. It has been a worry in the past, and it has led to some financial disasters in the past when we simply ignored the resignations and thought that members would come back and pay. But we are being more strict at the moment, but still we are having this problem that members are dropping out. We cannot rely on the figures that we have planned in our budget because we are losing some of the membership fees. And therefore, we would strongly ask you to consider this request to increase the annual fee from the current 2,850 to 3,100 Swiss francs. I know this is a difficult subject, and I'm sure you have questions about this and would like to discuss, but we had several requests now from our previous treasurer as well as from Mr. Romich and from several other people. So we have discussed this in the board and would like to bring it on the table today.
If I may add one personal note and another one to this, because I'm sitting on several boards of different cultural institutions, this is the only one without any kind of unforeseen position in the budget, which I consider quite particular, if not to call it dangerous. And we don't have any kind of strategic money. And the 30,000 of income in plus, as mentioned by Florian, would give us a little space of having on one side a small position of unforeseen and on the other side maybe a strategic money, because we see how active the board under the guidance of Florian Riem is, but they are always very limited in anything. And this would give a little bit of space without touching our reserve, because as you know, we had some painful stories regarding our reserves. They were burned out to the half of it. And I think now that's the minimum that we really need to front or to face maybe some challenges during the pandemic was. We had a moment where we were thinking maybe most of the members are not anymore able to pay the membership fee. So the reserves gives us not a year, but gives us a little bit of space and air to survive for a moment. So it's really important to have a little bit more of space. We can be very open. We got an email by Rob, maybe he is following us. He is very critical about it because he rightly remembered that the Swiss franc, it's a terribly strong valuta. I am personally touched by this. I have debts in Swiss francs and I lost a lot of money over the 15 years. But nevertheless, I think that's the right step to be taken if we would like to see the WFMC strong or even stronger as it is now.
Another point is compare us to other organizations. If you look at ISPA, if you look at IAMA, at first sight you will see that the membership fees are lower, especially because they have a tier system, a staggered system. So if your annual budget is low, you will pay an even lower annual fee. However, if you add the cost of their conferences, which are very expensive and which do not cover, by far not cover as many services that we offer in conferences like this one we're at right now, if you look at this factor, then you can very well compare ISPA and IAMA to the WFIMC. For them, it's easier to introduce a tier system because they have a lot more members. And membership is open to anyone. There is no statutes that people have to comply to. So it's basically filling out an application and giving your credit card number. We don't have this opportunity. We are much more limited in new membership. And also, and this means, therefore, that we're also more limited in receiving additional funds, in creating additional funds. And therefore, I think comparing the organizations, ISPA and IAMA with us, we are more or less on the same level as they are in terms of annual fees. Any questions?
Jacques, hopefully you are supporting this proposal by the board.
Yes, naturally. Over the years, and I've been with the Federation for 20-something years, and in the past, at the beginning, the World Federation was there, and there was not so many things done for the members. There was the General Assembly, but there was a lack of other support. I think that in the last 10, there was a big change in the way the Federation is being involved in newsletters and you know, the website and the regional meetings and naturally the General Assembly. That makes a huge difference. That's what my first thing. The second thing, when you look and when we ask money as competitions to anybody, we want to make sure and want to tell them that the money is well spent. And that also, being the treasurer for 9 years and looking at the financial, and this is kudos to Florian and the team, it's well spent. The money is going where it should go. Then, and that's very important that we know that the money is well there and well spent at the right place. And also, I'm thinking for any competition, putting more money can be a struggle, but it's also depending of your desire of being involved. Then when you come, when you use it, when you use the World Federation, when you use the website, when you use the General Assembly to meet colleagues, this is the place that you will learn the best. And you can save your 250 Swiss franc easily by having great ideas from other competition. And I think I really support the idea of increasing the fees for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comment on this or question? Then I think we can move on. We are super fast, that we like. So we are on the next one, the WFMC resonance. I guess it's the last one on the voting platform. Would you like to explain a little bit more?
We've had a number of conversations on the idea of a kind of competition incubator. If we get inquiries from cities, from countries far away where there is no member competition, but where there's a great interest in creating one, we thought it would be wonderful if the Federation had the opportunity to help such a competition, to support it and run it together with that new institution right from the beginning and make it a member right from the beginning. So we wanted to show you this idea this year and wanted your feedback and ideally your approval to move on and to start trying and find an opportunity to create such a competition. We are thinking, there's no specific proposal at the moment, but we are thinking, for example, about a competition in Kazakhstan. We're thinking about competition in Argentina. New competitions, new institutions that would be run together with the federation from the very beginning. We would reach out to countries, cities around the world where music is still underrepresented. We would try and create a new cultural icon. We would try and connect to local artists and musicians and connect them to the WFIMC network. And at the same time, make sure that from the beginning of these new institutions, the core values of the WFIMC of artistic excellence, of authenticity, fairness, and perfect organization would be realized. So the question for you is, if you would like to consider, if you would like to approve this idea of finding proposals for new competitions, there isn't going to be many, and there's still many hurdles to take. But to try and develop a new competition together with a partner abroad and make it the WFIMC competition from the very beginning, follow it, support it, connect it to our network, and at the same time also make it into a new income source, as these institutions would have to pay for our services, and being part of the federation have to pay for us working together with them, preparing the competition with them, planning and using our network to make that competition a success. You want?
I completely understand that this is the crucial step toward not total, but partly different WFMC. As by now, we are an umbrella organization passively receiving candidatures. We are examining them, we are discussing them, we are admitting. But in that that's my personal view, I see the music life rapidly changing in a huge transformation as the whole of society. So we need to be a little bit faster and more efficient in reacting on some opportunity. Only one example. The deputy mayor of Harbin, Mr. Wang Bo, he yesterday opened somehow our conference. He's so enthusiastic that now he's joining us 3 times per day. It was not foreseen in the schedule, but we are, of course, enthusiastic about this commitment. And they invited other guests that you will meet, I'm sure, tonight or tomorrow, stakeholders of Chinese music life and cultural life. And they have ideas, and they're expecting ideas from us, and also maybe incubating new competitions, not only in China, but also in other countries. So we need to be, that's my own idea, I think it has been shared by the board, transforming ourselves from a passive body to an active body. So proactively facing music life in transition, and this project would give us the space for it. I'm completely aware that the admission process in this specific case is different because it's shifting the decision of admitting somebody or in entering in a dialogue to the board, but on the end, the board hopefully expresses your own trust in what the board represents and is doing. And so I think if you are in favor of this, if you see in this a tool which can empower the federation, I would really like to have you voting in favor of this. It's a federation in a transformation process. Already started by Didier Schnorr, my predecessor, and rightly Jacques mentioned this, since 10 years, this federation is changing. Didier, together also with Glenn, the discussion started then to install the first Secretary General full-time. So that's a story of a federation which is very actively looking to what is happening outside in the music world. And so we have to have tools. And if we don't have this step, of course, we can continue. That's not a drama. But we are still slow because we have only one time per year where we are going to meet each other. So can you imagine next month somebody is calling from Angola and they would like to have a percussion competition and they have the money and we have to wait the next GA and only then they can start to work with us to build up something. So the next competition will happen in 28. I don't think that the people are patient enough. And if people are so committed for projects and there's funding, we should be even faster than them.
We have not drafted the regulation for this, of course, and we could obviously build in some security features if there were drawbacks, if there were developments that would make the competition unreliable or would show that the competition does not confirm to our statutes, that then the membership would forfeit it. I think there needs to be a system. But today, this is simply an idea that we would like to have your opinion and your approval of. And if you do approve of this, we would bring it once again to the next General Assembly with a relevant status change and possibly even with the first proposal to start the project.
If you are in favor now, that would give us the space to start that kind of dialogue and maybe to develop a prototype. And as Florian rightly says, in the next GA, if this is happening, we are having another change of statutes where we can fine-tune this, and to put some parameters into to assure that the GA has still a word on it. And maybe the ratification of something what the board decided, taking over the responsibility for it, can be the right approach. Any question? Any concern? Jacques and Didier.
Naturally, we were voting for something that can be really good for the federation, and why not? I will point two things that I think, Peter Paul, you mentioned before that we had limited resources at the World Fed. Then doing this, you have to consider resources. Then that will be the board job to look at that and say how many resources we have to put and how much money we have to make. And that brings me to my second point, which is in your writing, your proposal here, you're talking about the 25 to 50,000 Swiss franc, whatever. And I understand why. I will suggest to have like a fee per month when the federation is working on stuff, because we don't want also to say, you have money, come with us. No, we have to engage them. Once they are engaged, it's easier to get them involved in the long term with the federation. It will be nice to have a big amount of money at the beginning, but the idea, I think, is to, if you can spread the money over a year of consulting, once again, regarding resources, it will be a better way to approach this. But naturally, it will need a lot of work to reach out talk to people, get them involved, and resources. But I think the idea is great. Don't get me wrong.
You're totally right. And voting in favor of this doesn't mean that it needs to be realized as it's written down. What we are asking you is voting on the principle, because the modality, and maybe that's a brilliant idea to have a monthly fee, no, a service fee, because the office will be then occupied by this, and they will in a constant dialogue. So I find this a very good idea. Didier.
Well, I think we quite agree on the principle. First, I thought that you were asking us to vote on this really proposal. So now I understand it's on the idea of going in these directions, which is very different. I'm pretty much in favor of this idea because I think that we can do something for some part of the world where music competitions and music life itself is more difficult than in Europe and in East Asia. So it can be very helpful. I was thinking of South America, for instance, where we know that there are wonderful musicians, but not really all the means to organize things. So it may be really great, and you're right, it's something I was thinking of years ago, so I will support the idea. What seems more difficult to solve as an issue is Jacques is right, is the amount of work that I can see. Who will do this job? Will it be somebody else, or do you intend to increase the number of people in the federation's office? I don't know, and it's up to you to decide how to do it. But it won't be easy to manage. If you have 1, 2, or maybe 10 organizations willing to take part in this program, wow, it's a big job. And so, yes, for the idea, but be careful how you manage this kind of project.
If this goes on, and if you vote in favor, we have this year ahead before we then in Vilnius are going to maybe finalize again or fine-tune again the statute to develop a really precise model. Any other? Rob is participating online and has sent a comment.
This is Rob's message. I already aired my concerns to the board about this, but perhaps if nobody brings up my points, can you please bring up this point? I am very skeptic about this proposal, given the fact that globally the market for classical music is shrinking and the competition for participants between member competitions seems to increase every year. What is the need of another new competition? Also, I cannot identify a market where the interest in classical music is present, but where there currently isn't already a musical competition taking place. It requires an infrastructure that isn't built overnight. Plus, I don't believe that starting a competition in a random country will contribute to the development of the local music scene. I believe the mission of the WFIMC is not to help the foundation of new competitions, but rather to help the development of music education and training institutions. We need to enhance the pipeline, which is currently under a lot of stress. If we don't invest more in this, many of our members will become redundant in the near future. So we don't need more competitions, we need more young musicians.
Anybody wants to comment this? Of course, it's a little bit difficult now to have a dialogue with Rob, so we were already informed about his own concern, and it's very good that now he sent it in to everybody. You can feel that maybe we have a little bit different view on this, and it's a pity that he's not here, because then he can feel maybe it's not totally true that the classical music is shrinking. We are now receiving here a lot of enthusiasm also about the Chinese and the Asian music life, we only saw this in the second panel with all the stakeholders believing in a strong chapter ahead of music, classical music life. So if the WFMC is adding by his own power with new resources, another 10 fine-tuned, customized competitions, maybe it can even empower the position of the WFMC. So I would be a little bit less negative on this. But of course, full respect of our former board member. Elizabeth, our vice president.
Just one thought. I think the music competition is not only about prize winners and giving them an opportunity. Music competition is a link between the music education and professional musical world. And it has an impact on the musical life in the region and globally. So having this project, we have influence on developing musical lives in region where there is something to develop.
Didier?
Yes. For once, I'm not absolutely on the same. I don't share the same ideas as Rob. Usually we agree on everything, but not this time. I think we have something to do. We have a role to play in the world of music as international, the World Federation. There is a concern for the next step for me. It's the fact that the danger could be to create formatted music competitions, all the same way of doing things. What has always been a real treasure for me inside the federation is the fact that we are all different, with different histories, with different ways of doing things, except for the basic values that the federation requires from its members. So the danger would be to tell the people to do things in a certain way and not to find their own way of creating new music competitions. It's possible, of course, but you need to be really cautious on this and to ask people to find their own solutions. I think it's what is really interesting. And music competition in China, in South America, in Europe cannot be the same because we are all different.
Jacques has something to contribute.
Just, Elizabeth, pursuing your idea, I think you're right. Music competitions are a link between education and winners. But music competition is way more than this. We create a synergy within a competition and the city and the audience, the public. And this is the most important part of music. And this is also our unique selling proposition. When you think of competitions, it's punctual in time, it's exciting, it's something that can involve the entire city or the entire community in doing something special at that moment. Then yes, we are there for winners. Yes, we are there for school and education and promoting classical music. But mostly we're there to bring and to help providing classical music in a large way as a festival. And a lot of competitions are doing that actually in the way that they bring this. Then career management is great and all this, but we are developing audiences in the long term of the love of classical music. And this is one of the main part of this. Then when you go to Argentina, it's great country for music. They love music there. And if we can have competitions there, they will suddenly embrace the world that we are in. And that's the idea, I think, of this project.
There's another contribution. Aya.
Hello. I think this is thinking out of the box. I think all of us in the classical music world have to be very creative. So I support this idea, and I think there will be challenges, of course, but I think when you start creative endeavor somewhere, it does affect everything around it, and the consequences really unpredictable in a positive way. So I think I would support this. So good luck to you on this.
Thank you very much. Hopefully we can see this enthusiasm reflected in the votes. Oh, Ariel. Glenn?
I just want to say one thing to address the question or the point that came up. If we do find a candidate, it's going to be a lot of work. Who's going to do this? We only have so much staff. And I will point out that if I could guess, Peter Paul asked the board who's interested to serve on this committee. He probably thought no one was going to raise their hand, and everybody on the board said, we're happy to help with this project. So I think that was a testament to the willingness of all the board members to share their time and expertise if we should have the opportunity to do this. So I just wanted to say that.
Great. I think that are great final words on this chapter. We are totally in time. And yeah, here, phone. Because I was mentioning before Fiona Sinclair. So I'm stepping back for a moment to the Article 4/A statute changes, because she wrote me a message and she allowed me to read it. I read the one by Rob. So please allow me to read what she is saying about this proposal. I completely agree with this amendment. The world, written in capital letters, Federation should reflect the world we live in. We must make sure there are opportunities for all musicians to participate. Removing barriers is the start, and this is a great way to indicate how the Federation can become more open and inclusive. I find this message particularly wonderful because we had with Fiona a tough discussion, because she is really hardly trying to transform piano competition world in something more fair, and she presented, we can all remember in Hamamatsu, a kind of a statistics, what kind of opportunities are there not covered or covered. So having her own approval of this is a kind of a confirmation that we are on the right way. We have another comment. A second one by Fiona. I agree with Rob, so this time she disagreed. I have to read the message. I question whether competitions are the right vehicle for cultural development, not least of all because they are very exclusive by nature. Cultural engagement, especially for classical music, needs to be as inclusive as possible to win hearts and minds. And our terrific WFIMC team is already stretched. Where is the resource to deliver this effectively? Okay, we read the message. Somebody wants to comment this, or we can leave it like this. I think it was an interesting discussion. Wonderful that the people also from online are participating in it. So I leave it now to Florian to give us the instructions for the rest of the day. The business agenda, it will continue on Saturday morning with the report by the secretary, by the president, by the vice presidents. We are going to comment the output of the voting. So I think Saturday morning it will be hopefully still interesting.
Regarding the vote, you have all received an email. In the email, there is a link, a button to push if you want to go ahead and vote. And you will have to fill out your voter ID, which is your email, the email that you registered before, and the password, the one-time password that is included in the mail you are getting. So please vote at your earliest convenience. If you don't, you will receive a couple of reminders from us, but we hope we can get this over with quickly. The voting is open until, like Peter Paul said, until tomorrow midnight Chinese time. And now we are taking a 30-minute break. You can change if you like. We are taking a bus at 5:30 to first go to Harbin Concert Hall, where we'll just have a brief tour of the concert hall and take a family picture in front of the hall outside. Then we'll get on the bus once more and go to the Harbin Baroque district, an old, beautiful quarter with many shops, cafes, bars. So you can have a coffee, you can go souvenir hunting, or just sit down or just walk around and enjoy the atmosphere. Please do take the map that you will find in your black bag. The map of the Baroque district will help you to find your way around. Thank you very much for this afternoon. Thank you very much for today, and see you soon.